Coach, I mean, I can just kind of see, just your demeanor right now. I mean, was this one exhausting or more frustrating, or just, I mean, what are you feeling right now?
Just feel awful for the kids. Sick, to be honest with you. They're giving it everything they can, and would have loved to have just for them to feel a win. It's just not meant to be, and we just have to keep chipping away. So really, it's just sorrow for 9 young men that are still, 10 on this trip, but guys that are still working and giving it everything they got in spite of not a lot of things to feel great about. So I feel awful for them.
Was that a matter of the guys, some of the guys in the past have talked about, kind of still needing to get that late game experience? Was that, do you chalk that up to late game experience, or really with the last turnover with McQuatch involved? Like what happened on that one from what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, I think their speed bothered us clearly at the guard position. They just kind of sped us up and gave us a lot of issues. I think that was one in general throughout the entire game. But I'd probably chalk it up to fatigue. Somebody that played 41 minutes and 35 minutes trying to kind of make plays down the stretch and, didn't quite have the legs and the juice to probably execute when we needed. And you cut some corners and just from my perspective, played too many minutes.
Coach, I just walked in on it, and you may have answered this already. What did you tell the guys after the game?
That I feel for them, and we have to keep working, and I'm proud of them. I love coaching them, and we just have to find a way to continue to dig and claw and fight and hope at some point they can feel good about things. And it sucks. So the tears and everything else that are going on in there, I can't make them go away, other than trying to do whatever we can to win the next one or win the one after that or whatever it happens to be, so that they can put some smiles on their faces and feel better about themselves.
I know basketball is different than football, but, when you make a big momentum swing like that at the end in a football game, usually it's easier to close it out. Did you feel like once you guys tied the game and forced overtime, hey, this is ours to lose?
Yeah, I mean, look, right now we're possession by possession. I don't think our team has enough experience to start drawing on examples like that. Right now, we're just getting them through possession by possession. And I thought in some instances we were terrific, and obviously in others we were the opposite. So a learning experience for the long run and their development. But obviously the pain of this it's real.
Paul, you guys, two questions. One is, you guys did stop Orlando Robinson, at least in the first half. I've never seen a half where a team didn't hit a 2-point basket. They weren't scoring inside. I know they hit their threes, but I'm guessing you had to be overall happy with the defense throughout the night, I would think. I want to ask about that, but I also want to make sure to ask you about McQuatch Malawach. He is the 4-year senior here. He had one of his best games of the season, and he just took over, it looked like, there towards the end. So I'm sorry for packing 2 questions in there for you, but, McQuatch taking over, and then just the defense overall for you guys.
Yeah, I think I've said we haven't really had a big issue with, star players on other teams. I think we've put together pretty good game plans to take those guys away. We've been beat by the Kane Millings. We've been beat by the Junior Ballards. We've been beat by the Max Rices, the Alfonso Andersons, Trey Smith at San Jose. I mean, guys that statistically and ordinarily you'd say, hey, if you're going to lose, then, those are the guys you want to kind of go beat you. So, we have to adjust, and I'm sure Fresno will as well, to continue to contain such a great player. But I think for the most part, we've looked back on our game plans and said, hey, we did kind of what we wanted to do with particularly the top players on the other team. I thought Quatch's stretch in the first half was actually his best stretch. We didn't come out great offensively. I was worried, to be honest with you, that just being on the road and everything else, that, maybe the game could get away from us a little bit. And I thought he made some really big shots in that first half that kind of kept us hanging around and gave us a little bit of life to make us feel good about ourselves. And obviously down the stretch, he made some plays as well. But I thought it was his first half stretch that we really needed to just even give ourselves a chance in this game.
Coach, 19-19 at half, what adjustments were you guys trying to make, and how did you feel like the team did with those?
Yeah, I think offensively, obviously, we did not start anywhere near where we would want. I thought Quach kind of got us going there. So offensively, we were looking to just keep opening the game up and get better. Defensively, we knew they'd make some adjustments, so we kind of didn't necessarily stay in the 2-3 as much as we did in the first half. Kind of mixed in some different looks, and the game just opened up, I think, a little bit in general in the second half, both ways. And that was probably a little bit in their favor, particularly with us turning the basketball over.
Saquon and Jeremiah had spots where they were getting aggressive, getting inside, seems like those two are developing more and more the last few weeks and trying to figure out what their role is offensively and what they're able to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think they're trying to figure out. We are too. We're trying to just kind of see what we have with guards and who can be a point guard and maybe who plays off the ball, and kind of just hopefully at some point we can find a good flow and get just consistent, productive play from the guard positions, and hopefully those guys can be that as this season unfolds.
To follow up, since they're the key in facilitating, you guys follow up third most assists you guys have had in a decade Saturday at San Jose State with 26, and you guys have 4 assists tonight. Is that Fresno or is that you guys when you guys go from 26 to 4 in a 1-game turnaround?
Yeah. Part of that's the rhythm of the game and what you're trying to do and what you're getting going offensively. Early, I think a lot of our points were coming off offensive rebounds. So, there just wasn't a lot of assists there. I thought we had some decent looks that just weren't going in. And then obviously McQuatch got going, and a lot of those were kind of one-on-one plays. It wasn't exactly just someone, driving and kicking and playing to him. So I just think the way the style of the game just didn't lend itself to us having a lot of assists. Whereas in that San Jose game, obviously, it was much different. They played a different style defense. There were some gaps and holes where it was a pass or a playing against the zone or whatever it might be. But at the same time, I will say we've got to find a way to know what we're going to get out of some point guard minutes at some point. Like, we just have to. And we can't just continually do this revolving door there of different guys. At some point, we've got to have someone put more than 2 or 3 games together for us to consistently just have an offensive night. So we aren't having 4 assists one night and whatever it is the next. So we just got to keep working on that. I think stylistically, we've adjusted offensively to where, we're trying to manage the game as coaches, but we need some players also to be able to kind of execute it as well.
Coach, you got a quick turnaround. Oh, go ahead, Isabel. I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks. Going off of that on the offense, McQuatch obviously usually takes over, and he's the most consistent guy. But today you had 4 guys scoring double digits. Do you think it's realistic that maybe, later on in the season you'll see more of that instead of just like 1 or 2 guys stepping up in double digits and maybe make it 3 or 4?
Yeah. I mean, right now we just need to find people to take care of the basketball. I don't know if there's a huge separation between guys offensively. Obviously, Valdir showed some things. McQuatch is who he is. Saquon's had some stretches. But for the most part, we've got to find a way to play basketball without turning the ball over 15-plus times a game. We're just the losing really hurts. And right now the turnovers are I think, one of the biggest critical pieces to what's creating that. And offensively, the scoring is good, obviously, and we're going to need that. But we've got to be able to score without turning the ball over and giving people layups at the other end of the floor.
Coach, you got a quick turnaround. How do you get your guys to bury this one tonight and just worry about what's coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we got a tough stretch period. I think 6 games in 15 days and then 10 and 25 or so. I mean, it's a haul the rest of the way. And we've got to find a way to just finish this season and, not let things kind of drag us too far down, whether that's players not being here or not, whether that's losing a tough game or not, whether that's I mean, you can come up with all the different reasons or situations that could arise that would have us give up at some point, but we just can't. We've got to find a way to get back ready to roll on Saturday and just keep fighting the rest of the season.
Paul, no Isaiah Marin, no Nolan Dorsey. I think I noticed maybe even some walk-ons that weren't there. Can you give us an update on the guys who were not at tonight's game?
Yeah, when school started, we have not been traveling the walk-ons since school began. I just felt keeping them at home for those purposes was more valuable with their time. We did bring, I believe, Logan out as a precaution on the last trip. We thought there might be somebody that was unavailable who eventually became available. There's two guys that over this past week kind of had a there's a physical health and there's a mental health, and we're just going to kind of adjust and go as that unfolds. I'll kind of keep you guys abreast. Right now, I probably can't say much about when either of them will return, and I guess we'll just kind of take it from there. It's tough, I've said this to a lot of people, to get back on a bus or get back on a plane. When you go back for a couple of days, we've done it 3 or 4 times, and it takes a lot of mental toughness to get back out and say, I'm ready to go back out again. And, so I'm very supportive of these guys. I've been very supportive of kids that get to a point where maybe they don't feel like they can kind of go forward with this. It happened before the season. It's happened during the season, and I'm sure it's going to continue to happen the rest of the way. I don't judge them. I don't shame them. They have my full support. I love every one of them, whether they choose to play or choose not to play. They're all Lobos, and we just got to find guys that are physically and mentally healthy to finish our basketball season.
Anything else for Coach?
I have one for Coach.
Last one.
Coach, what can you say about Dionte Stoudt coming in the second half? And he really kind of changed the momentum of the game, made some big plays, including that last one at the end of the second half. What can you say about him and kind of from an opponent head coach standpoint, what challenges he brought against your team?
Yeah, he's a good player, made some key defensive plays for them. Obviously got out in transition and got some buckets off of our turnovers. I think if we did a better job taking care of the basketball, we wouldn't be talking about Dionte Stoudt, but he made some terrific defensive plays, and obviously he's explosive in transition, so he was able to finish out there as well.